call Mr. Dennis Sluciak. I have 2 questions for him, if I may.
I will just note for the record, Exhibit 9, I have an objection to the extent it's more appropriate for legal argument as opposed to evidence. But I'll be doing the same, presenting forward with some case law as well.
Yeah, I didn't move for the admission of Exhibit 9 because it is just a statute.
Okay.
So, Mr. Sluciak, can we invite you to come up here for a minute? Would you identify yourself, please? And we're all talking through masks, so I'm trying to speak slowly and clearly.
My name is Dennis Sluciak. I reside at 47 Greenwich Road, Canonsburg, 15317.
Thank you. Mr. Sluciak, prior to your attorneys providing you with the documents that were filed in court stating that a building permit had been issued, did you know that a building permit had been issued to Crown Castle?
No.
And after February 11th of 2020, which was the date of the permit, or at least allegedly, because we still haven't seen it, have you noticed any activity toward the construction of the tower?
None, no.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for Mr. Sluciak. If any counsel would like to cross-examine.
I just have 1 or 2 questions. Mr. Sluciak, I think we saw from Exhibit 8A that your counsel entered into evidence that the preliminary objections raising issue of fact were sent to your counsel on Friday, June 12, 2020. Have you seen that email? He then forwarded it to you, which is part of the record.
I can't recall.
You'd like to take a look at Exhibit 8A.
Okay, well, I'm going to raise an objection to the question because I believe that the premise of the question was whether he had seen the email from Mr. Ratcher on June 12th.
No, the question is, your counsel later forwarded you an email from Mr. Ratcher. That email from Mr. Ratcher to counsel was sent on Friday, June 12th. Do you see that?
I see that on the document, yes.
Okay, and then you received the email on Monday, June 15th. Is that correct?
I can't say that for sure.
Okay, so you don't know the first time that you saw this particular issue, the preliminary objections raising issues of fact.
Not exactly, no. I'm not
Okay.
aware of the exact time.
Okay, but we have no reason to believe that the timestamps on this email are incorrect.
Not if my attorney put them on it.
Okay, that's all. No further questions. Thank you.
Just a few questions. Jeff Reese, RIES. I'm here tonight on behalf of Bob Ratcher, representing Crown Castle Towers 09 LLC. And on behalf of Crown Castle, we would ask for party status in this proceeding tonight. The questions I have for Mr. Sluciak. Mr. Sluciak, the prior proceeding that issued the conditional use, you filed an appeal to that to the Court of Common Pleas of Washington County, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when the Court of Common Pleas affirmed the decision of the supervisors of Cecil Township, did you then appeal that to the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania?
I think that's a question for my attorney, don't you?
Well, if you asked him to file
That's my
those
legal
documents,
representation. I think that question should be directed to my attorney.
But if you don't know, then
I don't know.
okay, do you know then when that appeal to the Commonwealth Court finalized?
For his date?
Yes.
Exactly? No, sir.
Do you know the month?
No. That's why I hired an attorney for legal representation to handle this case. The last time that I didn't have an attorney, the township shot me down, big time. So now I hired an attorney, and if you got questions, I think you can direct them both to me and my attorney.
I'll ask you the questions, and if I think it's appropriate.
Well, then you can ask, but whether or not I can answer them remains to be seen.
Sure. And
I got legal representation
understand.
this time around because of the township.
I understand. And you'll just answer a couple more questions. In April of this year, did you cause to be filed a petition for complaint and declaratory judgment with the Court of Common Pleas of Washington County?
Again,
Let me ask it this way. Did you file a lawsuit in April of this year?
I filed a lot of lawsuits. Exact dates and times, I'm not aware of.
Okay, well, I think exact dates and times are very important for this
Well,
proceeding.
Mr. Reese, let me help you out. I already introduced the complaint as an exhibit,
Sure.
so I don't think he's denying that we filed the complaint.
Sure. Well, if he will acknowledge that, that would be helpful.
You want to see my bills?
It's in the record.
You want to see my,
Sure.
you know, it's all in there.
Your counsel stipulated it's in the record.
Okay, so
So let me ask you, what precipitated you filing that complaint in April of 2020?
what precipitated?
Yeah, why did you file it?
Because the permit was not, they were past their statute of getting the permit. I mean, that was very common. I seen that, the attorney, Cecil Township, used that many times in this. So this should work for me too.
Any reason you didn't file it in January, February? Is there anything that particular time frame why that was important to you?
No, I'm not going to answer that. I don't know. If my attorney wants to answer for me, fine. All I know is that I'm in my legal right to be here tonight to deny this permit.
The question I'm asking, were you aware of the building permit?
Mr. Bratcher and I
Let
have
me
gone along.
finish, and I'll let you finish. She has to transcribe what we're saying. Were you aware of the building permit in February that caused you to then file the appeal or the lawsuit in April of 2020?
Was I aware?
Correct.
I don't know. Again, that is why I hired legal representation to handle this case after my bad experience with the township stating that I did not need legal representation when coming into this room. Okay? That's why I got it now. I'll answer the question that I can honestly say is true that of my knowledge. If I'm not exactly sure of the dates and that, I'm not going to stand here and say yes or no or whatever. This is what I'm paying my legal representation to do all the paperwork. Okay?
So your answer was you don't know whether or not you knew about the building permit prior to April when you filed your lawsuit?
I'm not sure of the dates. Okay? I'm not sure of all the dates, exactly to what date. I'm not sure exactly what your point or what you're trying to get at.
Just trying to get you to answer the question, sir. That's
I
all
am answering the question.
I think
I
he
did
said
it 3-4 times to you.
Cool. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have nothing else.
Mr. Sluciak, I think what Mr. Reese was trying to get at is, how did you come about finding about the building permit had been issued to Crown Castle? How did you come?
That's the reason why we introduced those preliminary objections that were filed after our complaint. Because that, in the preliminary objections, that's the first time that there is anything informing us that a building permit had been issued. And if you look at the complaint, which is actually in the record, and look at now, but the complaint that we filed made no mention of the building permit. We didn't challenge the building permit. We didn't know it existed until they filed those pleadings in that case.
I don't know if that answered the question either.
Well, the question is, did he know about a building permit? And
No, I asked how he found out about it.
the answer is, I sent him a copy of the documents filed by Crown Castle and the township in the declaratory judgment lawsuit that we filed.
So
And
I'm
that was in Those were both filed in June of 2020. And in those documents, the township and Crown and Hidden Acres, the property owner, alleged that the township issued a building permit.
I'm going to object to
But if that
Mr.
was June,
Ferguson
this is April.
testifying on behalf of the fact witness. Mr. Ferguson's an attorney. He's trying to now introduce fact testimony. Mr. Sluciak is the only fact witness who can actually testify about when he was aware of the building permit.
Well, I'm explaining the relevance of exhibits which have already been admitted into the record, which are preliminary objections in a declaratory judgment action. The reason why they're relevant here is that we are asserting that those are the first time that we were informed of the issuance of the building permit.
Well, Mr. Ferguson's asserting that. Mr. Sluciak was unable to answer the question.
Well, I asked him whether or not, before receiving those pleadings, he had any knowledge that the permit had been issued, and his answer was no. And then I asked him whether or not he saw activity on the site after February 11th of 2020 that might have informed him that something was going on, and his answer was no.
Excuse me, no one at home can hear the meeting.
I have a question for Liz. Does the township notify individuals that a building permit has been issued?
I'm going to ask her those questions in a minute.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Sir, you had
Yes.
something to add?
Yes, I'm Joshua Lorenz. I am, and Meyer, Unkevick, and Scott. We are here appearing on behalf of Hidden Acres East Apartment Community, Inc. Hidden Acres, as I'll refer to it, if that's all right, is the fee owner of the property upon which Crown Castle is looking to construct the improvements at issue here tonight. Mr. Sluciak, I'm going to direct your attention to Exhibit A8A, which your counsel has represented is an email that he received from Attorney Ratcher on Friday, June 12th, 2020 at 3:03 p.m. and closing the preliminary objections. Do you see that, sir?
The one is June 12th,
Yes, sir.
3:03 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what about it?
My question is a simple one. Your counsel who's here with you tonight, Mr. Ferguson, was he your legal counsel as of that date, June 12th, 2020?
Yes.
No further questions.
All right. I have no questions. Okay, I'd like to call Elizabeth Ross.
You can testify from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to Exhibit A